In the heart of the Jezreel Valley lay the village of Shunem, a place of agricultural abundance and peace. Here lived a woman of noble character and unwavering faith, who had long provided a sanctuary for the prophet Elisha. However, a shadow was about to fall over this lush landscape, signaling a season of profound testing. The prophet Elisha arrived with a heavy word from the Lord. He warned the woman that a famine was coming, a drought so severe it would last 7 long years. This was not merely a natural disaster, but a divine decree, calling her to leave her ancestral home and seek refuge in a foreign land. As the prophecy began to unfold, the vibrant greens of Israel turned to a dusty brown. Across the kingdom, farmers looked at the cracked earth and the scorching sun with despair. Famine, a recurring theme in the biblical narrative, had arrived once again to test the resilience and faith of God's people. Obedient to the word of the Lord, the woman prepared her household for exile. They packed their belongings onto wooden carts and gathered their remaining livestock. With one final look at the home where her son had been restored to life, she led her family toward the land of the Philistines, walking into the unknown. They arrived in the coastal plains of Philistia, a land far different from the hills of Shunem. The air was saltier, the markets more chaotic, and the culture entirely foreign. For 7 years, they would live as sojourners, surrounded by those who did not know their God, yet sustained by the memory of his past faithfulness. Seasons turned into years. In Philistia, they planted and harvested, always keeping their hearts turned toward Jerusalem. The woman watched her son grow into a young man, teaching him the stories of Elisha and the power of the Almighty, ensuring their Hebrew identity remained vibrant even in a land of idol worshippers. Finally, the 7 years came to an end. The drought broke, and word reached the woman that life was returning to the Jezreel Valley. With hope in her heart, she gathered her family once more to cross the border, eager to reclaim the land that had belonged to her family for generations. But homecoming was not as she imagined. Upon arriving at her estate, she found the gates locked and the fields occupied by strangers. In ancient Israel, land was more than property. It was a sacred inheritance. To lose it was to lose one's place in the covenant community and her family's future. Refusing to yield to despair, she made a bold decision. She would travel to the capital, Samaria, to petition the king himself. It was a journey of risk and humility, but she moved with the dignity of one who knows that justice is found in the hands of the sovereign Lord. In the royal court, King Jehoram was restless by what some would call chance, but what the faithful know as providence. He had called for Gehazi, the servant of Elisha. The king was curious, wanting to hear the tales of the great miracles the prophet had performed during the years of famine. Gehazi began to recount the most incredible story of all, how Elisha had restored a young boy to life after he had died in the heat of the harvest. He described the mother's faith and the prophet's prayer, painting a vivid picture of God's power over even the finality of death. Just as the words were leaving Gehazi's lips, the heavy doors of the throne room swung open. The Shunammite woman and her son stepped into the light. Stunned, Gehazi pointed a trembling finger toward them and cried out, "My lord king, this is the woman, and this is her son whom Elisha restored to life." The king questioned the woman, and she spoke with grace and clarity, confirming every detail of Gehazi's story. The miraculous timing was undeniable. The very moment she needed the king's favor, God had ensured her story was being told, turning the king's heart toward her cause. Moved by the divine intercession, the king gave a royal decree. He appointed an official to ensure everything was returned to her, not just her land and her house, but all the produce of the fields from the day she left until that very hour. It was restoration with divine interest. The Shunammite woman returned to her home, her inheritance fully restored. Her journey teaches us that even in seasons of famine and exile, God is working behind the scenes. His timing is perfect, and his restoration is complete. Trust in him, for he remembers his own.